Interview with the word formation process. Words can change, how and why. English speakers often create new words and cause change within the language. According to Anne Curzan and Michael Adams, this happens because speakers feel the need to fill a lexical gap where there is no word available to express a certain idea, because they don't know or can't remember an already existing word, or because they simply prefer to make up a word. There are many different processes that change the English language and cause speakers to form new words over time. The most commonly observed word formation processes are combining, shortening, blending, shifting, reanalysis, eggcorns, and folk etymology, and reduplication. Combining process. There are 4 ways to combine that are discussed by Curzan and Adams: compounding, prefixing, suffixing, and infixing. Compounding Compounding happens when new words are created through combinations of free morphemes, which are the smallest part of a word that still holds its own meaning. Prefixing occurs when a new word is formed by adding a bound morpheme, which holds no meaning on its own, to the beginning of an already existing word. Suffixing is the same as prefixing, except the bound morpheme is placed at the end of an already existing word. Lastly, infixing takes place when an existing word is split in order to insert a bound morpheme, and it is not as commonly observed as the previous 3. Come and pound 2 words together. In this presentation, we will be focusing on the compounding process by examining compound word usage and creation within early and contemporary examples of literature. Before we look at examples, though, it's important to first understand that within compounding, there are also 3 classifications of compound words: endocentric, exocentric, and coordinative. According to Gerald P. Delahunty and James J. Garvey, endocentric compounds represent a subtype of whatever the head represents. For instance, a traffic cop is a kind of cop, a teapot is a kind of pot, a fog lamp is a kind of lamp, and a blue jay is a kind of jay. That is, the head names the type, and the compound names the subtype. Delahunty and Garvey also explain that exocentric compounds name a subtype, and but the type is not represented by either the head or the modifier in the compound. For example, deadhead, redhead, and pickpocket represent types of people by denoting some distinguishing characteristic. There is typically another word, not included in the compound, that represents the type of which the compound represents the subtype. In the case of deadhead, redhead, and pickpocket, this other word is person. So a deadhead is a person who is a fan of the Grateful Dead. A redhead is a person with red hair, and a pickpocket is a person who stealthily steals from other people. The third classification is coordinative compounds. Delahunty and Garvey stated that coordinative compounds are compounds in which both elements are heads. Each contributes equally to the meaning of the whole, and neither is subordinate to the other. Take, for instance, bittersweet. Compounds like these can be paraphrased as both X and Y, or bitter and sweet. Early evidence in literature. Shakespeare was very well known for inventing new words and names that have since become standard in the English language. He was also well versed in creating new compound words when an old word didn't fit his literary needs. John Kelly goes as far as praising Shakespeare for his noggin-busting compounds. He also provided some of Shakespeare's excellent examples, from simple compounds such as bedroom and eyeball, to more complex compounds such as hot-blooded, heart-struck, and thought-executing. Shakespeare was revolutionary in enhancing the English language and projecting it into new territory. More early evidence in literature. Beowulf is already widely regarded as a sacred text within English literature. Encyclopedia Britannica editors, along with many other sources, cite Beowulf as being the highest achievement of Old English literature. According to Geoffrey Allen Mazo, creativity in coining new compounds reaches its apex in the 3,182-line heroic epic. He goes even further to explain that there are 509 distinct, unique nominal compounds, or one unique compound occurs on average every 6 lines. Some examples of these compounds are battle shirt, arm ring, and handslayer. Contemporary evidence in literature. When you do a Google search looking for compound words in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs by Judy Barrett, the first few pages you will see are lesson plans for teachers to use in their classrooms. If that doesn't already clue you in to its plethora of compound word usage, allow me to share some specific examples from the text with you, aside from meatballs in the title. The most notable compound word in this popular children's story is chew and swallow, which is the name of the fictional town in which the story takes place. Townspeople, hamburgers, and bedtime are just a few more of the examples used within this zany tale. More contemporary evidence in literature. Solace by Gail Carriger is another modern text that uses a compound word in its title. Michelle Lacrosse also informs readers that the fantastical steampunk young adult novel centered around supernatural species and technological advancements is chock full of compound words such as aetheromagnetic. Lacrosse continues by pointing out that Carriger even shows the process of compounding words by having her characters create the compound word names themselves as they discover new inventions throughout the story. If you want to know more about the things that I mentioned in this presentation, you can visit these links provided here, or you can search up some things on your own. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed learning more about specifically combining and compounding words to form and enhance our English language. Thanks.